Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's July 17th, 2020, and today it's time for another garden tour, garden update to see how things have been going. Over this last week or so, we've gotten approximately another 3 inches. I've got to go and see what our full database is, but under 6 inches in the last 10 weeks, or almost 11 weeks, and under over 5 inches, just under 6 inches is I think what we got as a total. So thank goodness we got as much rain as we did get. Hasn't really made any difference with the ponds, canals, swales and all, but I think it has helped out in the food forests and all. And hopefully I'll do an update on the food forest, the first food forest anyways, because we had some deer damage and some windstorm damage and some too prolific fruit damage as well, so I didn't get to thinning the plants. But today what I thought I'd do is I'd go ahead, throw the helmet cam on, and we'll take a look at what's developing in the garden plots. So here we go. Okay, we're starting out over here in the western garden plot as usual. First thing you may notice, I did get another load of spruce wood chips in. Previously we had a lot of the soil, some of the compost and the top with wood chips exposed to the air where the Scarlet Red Runner beans are right adjacent to the edge of that soil, and therefore evaporation and transpiration ended up desiccating or drying out some of those Scarlet Runner beans. So by having the mulch here right up to the same soil surface level, that'll help to maintain some of the humidity in the soil and keep the soil microorganisms as healthy as possible. I'll try and remember to answer a couple of questions in the next few days. I've just been running crazy here lately. One of the things I did do with the extra mulch, I went ahead and covered up some of these gooseberry plants. So all of these stems that are sticking out by stooling or mounding or covering up some of those limbs, that'll encourage root development over the next several months in each one of those, thereby taking one plant and propagating 20 to 30 additional plants. These gooseberries are at maturation now. These 2 berries here are right here. There's Timmy saying hello. And they're really delicious at this point. So some of these are really doing great. Have those on our yogurts when Thea's home in the afternoons. Really, really delicious gooseberries. Persimmons in these 2 tree tubes are doing pretty well so far. And let's go into the western garden plot. See the successes and the challenges. So the Acer Red Cabbage are doing okay. Even though they're a cooler season crop, they tend to be doing pretty well. We can see some of the heads are developing here. I did see one caterpillar, a large caterpillar, race across the black mats just a short time ago. But otherwise, our pest management system here with all of the dragonflies, the flycatchers, the kingbirds. The kingbirds are my favorite. They're really doing an amazing job getting all these bugs. The cauliflower, it's been just too darn much heat. We aren't getting the cauliflower head development. I think it's the heat that's the problem. Moisture's been consistent, but temperature has been just skyrocketing, and being with these black mats and getting them in too late in the season, and this season being much hotter than it usually is early on in the season, I think really deterred our ability to produce the cauliflowers the way we usually can. Blueberry plants are doing very well. Bit of a rough start initially, but I'm pretty happy how they're doing overall. The Scarlet Red Runner beans did really well. The ones that were in away from the edge of the of where the mulch wasn't located. Honeyberry plants are doing pretty darn well. Some really did dry out during the drought times. The ones that weren't really close to the drip tape. I have to do some more weeding in here. But the Scarlet Red Runner beans in here and the honeyberries, I'm pretty happy with, given everything, how tough this season's been. I've got more weeding to do, as you can see in here. but pretty happy. Now, these blue Hubbard squash, as usual, since this is the first time I've had them under irrigations, and I probably put the plants a little bit too close together every couple feet, and they're just going like gangbusters. Every day they seem to grow another foot. So real happy how the blue Hubbard squash are doing. There are some squash beetles in there, but things aren't looking too bad at all. The leaves look good, the flowers look good. And so hopefully we'll have some great squash. They are overcrowding some of the cantaloupe and the honeydews, but they're doing okay in here. I haven't got to weeding around here. You can see there's more honeydews all along in here and cantaloupe. Some weeding needs to be done. The Scarlet Red Runner beans along this fence seem to be doing pretty well, despite the soil being fairly exposed to the atmosphere, which I want to not have happen in the future. The starts from these shoots coming up from the roots from previous potted plants in this location from the thornless blackberry plants that we have. For the most part, they're all taking off pretty well, starting to leaf out. 2 of them didn't make it. I'll be removing those 2 and capturing just a couple more of these ones that are right around in this area. So they're doing pretty well. I'll make an update on those in a couple of weeks' time. Scarlet Red Runner beans doing fantastic in here. This was originally about 2.5 to 3 feet deep, the wood chip mulch in this area, but it's been breaking down into some really decent soil underneath here, and as a result, there's lots of weeds in here, and bindweed here as well. Trying to stay on top of this stuff before it gets out of hand, but that's just a challenge with so many projects going on. So pretty happy with all that. Have some more weeds developing here where there aren't weed mats, where the lupine are planted along the edge. Real happy with how well they're doing. Maybe I should cut up another piece of weed mat to put along this edge here and just try to control this a bit better, make a few less weeds. But that quackgrass really takes off on us. So over in this area, pretty much everything's doing pretty darn well. The darn cauliflower, big failure this year. So people have been asking, and you can see the grass here. We could see some green in here since getting the rain. That's really been nice. I have gotten some comments and questions that I really hope to give some thorough, thoughtful answers to in the near future. So those of you who are waiting for me to respond to some of your comments and questions, I'm just running behind. I hope to give some thoughtful responses to those questions in the near future. Just playing catch up around here. Let's take a look at the central garden. The comfrey along the building edge here has some weeds in there, some volunteer tomatoes from previously. But these comfrey are actually looking pretty darn good, considering that they haven't gotten watered. They're just getting some additional moisture off the roof here. And this is the second running. The first running, the first growth is all laid down. There's still some flowers from that, and the second growth is coming up. Contrary to what we see in the food forest, the first growth came up, it laid down, and the new growth is only up a couple inches. So this drought has really had a big impact on our comfrey this season. The corn has been doing fantastic. A few things that I would say about this. This is my first year putting single rows of corn instead of 2 rows per 30 or 36 inch wide bed. I think this is going to be much easier to harvest and to sort through. As you can see, they're about 5 to 6.5 feet tall right at this point, so I'm really happy with how well they're doing. I think a week ago Thea came down, and you may be able to see there's string beans or pole beans all along in between each of these plants. That's going to add nitrogen to the soil. The carbon from all the root systems here are going to feed the microorganisms. The beans will help to, with the aid of the mycorrhizae, go ahead and put more nitrogen into the soil. Using the weed mats separated like this, it helps to keep these new high-level root systems from going through the weed mat, which really works out nicely. So when I come through in the fall later on and flail mow this, all this green carbonaceous material will get reincorporated into the soil. The microorganisms will be able to take the whole winter and break that down in early next spring as well, having this chopped up into really fine pieces. The tomato plants, the San Marzano tomato plants, are getting a bit overcrowded. They're really growing like crazy. We need to, it would be ideal to come in and peel off some of these lower leaves and all, let more airflow through them. These are really prolific tomato plants, and they make the most desirable, sweet, tasty, easily processable tomatoes that there are. So these are our favorite. And yes, we do save the seeds from from these tomatoes and from the sweet corn as well. We've been growing that variety of sweet corn now, I think, for 6 to 8 years, saving the seeds every couple of seasons from it. The banana peppers are really doing well so far. One of my favorite peppers. I could see some of the bananas, actually the peppers themselves, developing on the system. For a cool season crop like the broccoli here, I'm really happy how well this is doing. We haven't harvested any broccoli yet, but it's been a really hot season. It's touch or go whether we'll actually get some good broccoli. The bell peppers doing really well so far. Really happy with their development. The kale, as usual, these are our curly kale. All of these we saved our seeds from, all of these plants. The sweet potatoes, the deer have been hopping over this Premier 1 fencing. This is sheep fencing, so it's only, I think, 42 inches high. The deer fencing that we have up front with the blackberries and a couple other locations, that's 5 foot high. The deer pop over all these fences with ease. We're going to have to add paracord or something else above, as long as I believe that we're not going to injure the deer at all. But they come in here and they could feed, and you can see they've just been coming in and nibbling off the top of everything. Little lamb's quarter there. But pretty happy with the growth of the sweet potatoes. We just got to keep the deer under control in this garden. So this garden's doing really well. Super happy with using this weed mat system. We're just going down a single path with a single drip tape with each one of these systems. They're ample once a day watering, even during a drought, for all these luscious tomatoes. The sweet corn here, really happy with using the wider gap for the for the corn. In other words, a wider gap about this far apart the weed mats are, as opposed to the rest of the weed mats. We keep them right close together for all the other plants. That way we don't have the weed mats growing into the corn roots growing into the weed mats themselves. We'll be able to pull those back, and I'm also super happy about having single row corn growing. I think that it's going to be much easier to harvest and get in and get out quickly, because that's one of the goals with limited time to get the work done. We set up a system for processing the corn at our washing stations and dekerneling the husk, or the core of the corn. Now we're going over to the eastern garden plot. Lots of weed development in our wood chip area. So this wood chip has been wood chip path here in the center of this cattle panel trellis has really broken down significantly. I really need to get some more wood chips in here, do some sheep mulching and all. But in the meantime, before these weeds go to flower and go to seed, I got to get them knocked down as well. I'm pretty happy with how well the Scarlet Red Runner beans are doing on each side of this. We're going to have quite a few beans. We do have some weeds. Whenever we have a gap like this for our sweet corn or for plants like our leeks, there's the chances for those weed seeds to just sprout. So we got purslane, we got crabgrass, all of these weeds in here. And lamb's quarter here. So we got to come through, and some nettle. Got to pull those out and take care of those. But otherwise, the leeks are looking really good. 2-row leeks, I think, are going to work out pretty well. Maybe I have to do a different system than this, but Each year we try something new with the leeks to see how well things work out. We'll see at harvest time. These are the Oriental Eggplants. They're doing pretty well. The transplants that Thea put in last week are really looking good. These are the Black Beauty Eggplants. They seem to be growing a little bit better. The shape, they're a little bit more globoid than the Oriental, more banana or elongated shape. Processing of the elongate ones are really super easy going through the food processor. Does take us about 2 to 3 times as long to process the traditional Black Beauty eggplants. The jalapeno pepper is doing really good. Plenty of flowers on those and some fruit development as well. The blue potatoes doing very well. Lots of volunteer purslane down here. Have to grab some of that for our salads. I don't see any flowers developing yet. Probably in the next week or 2 we should see the flowers with the blue potatoes, but I haven't done any more hilling with these. We'll see what we get at the end of the season. The dill, we've got lots of weeds in this area I'm going to have to deal with, but the dill plants seem to be doing very well so far. Thea will need all those for all her pickling. Thea came through and harvested all of the lettuce that was in here. We leave the roots in the soil. The roots are a rich carbon source, nutrient source for all the microorganisms, really creates a very healthy microbiome within the soil. The sage plants are doing pretty well that are over here. Again, all of the Scarlet Red Runner beans, pretty darn happy with how they're doing as well. And of course, I've got lots of weeding to do. Just got to make some time to do that. Over here on this tunnel, on this trellis area here, we only have a couple of the butternut squash. I'm convinced that the seeds that I saved from those butternuts a few years ago were not adapted well to our climate. So I need to select a different variety of butternut squash and save the seeds from those that are really hardy, like the rest of the plants that we've grown so well. So our cucumbers that we've been saving have been doing extremely well year after year. These seeds are fantastic. They're really prolific. This particular type are adapted very well to our climate and got us get in here and get harvesting these. The sage down below are all doing very well as well. These are the sweet Georgia candy squash along in here. They're doing so-so. We lost a few of the plants over here on the side. There is some powdery mildew started on some of those. So we'll try and select, we'll pick one of these fruit and the best looking ones that look and save the seeds from those and keep each year trying to select the very best produce that we have and select the seeds from that for saving year after year, and then do germination tests and so on. Over here you can see in all our paths I've got lots of weeds that are growing up. The chili peppers are doing really well. The cauliflower have been eaten up somewhat. Again, they don't enjoy these hot seasons. That hasn't been good for our cool season brassicas. The red onions are doing extremely well over there, really starting to develop some of the bulbs now. The basil again are doing quite well. Onions and basil, chili peppers, all doing great. Cauliflower, just like in the Western garden plot, even without it being on a black weed mat, we're just not getting the development that we usually get. Strawberry beds, this strawberry bed doing extremely well. Again, got to pull some of these weeds out of here. Our catching the runners in these trays has been working pretty well so far, so that we can repropagate our other handicap bed over on the other side there. So over here, the watermelons are doing like the blue Hubbard squash. They're going in both directions. The cantaloupe and the honeydews are doing well as well. Trying not to step on these. The irises around the perimeter, I'm disappointed. I just haven't gotten to doing this weeding. I'm a bit overwhelmed. The sage is doing pretty well. The lavender is doing pretty darn well. The thyme that we put in here is doing well. We just got to get the new irrigation system over here, which I'm probably not going to get to this season. And I need to decide what I'm going to do with my irises here, whether I'm going to move them out and use this area for something else that I can use weed mats on and all to help control things, because I've got quackgrass, I've got nettle, I've got mungwort, I've got too much going on in here that I really don't want. But other than that, I've got to say, otherwise, I'm really happy with how the gardens are doing. And that's a look at our garden so far. Well, that's a walkthrough, a tour of the garden plots. I'm pretty happy overall how things have been going. Some plants have just every day you come out and see, like the blue Hubbards, just completely expanding. All of the squash and watermelon species, the honeydew and cantaloupe, all of those are doing really well, with the exception of the butternut squash. I'm not sure why we've had challenges with the butternuts in the past and this year. It may very well be that the seeds that we saved just weren't good seeds, because the last 3 years we saved seeds from one plant, from one crop, and none of these 3 years, despite growing in different times and different locations, have done very well. And I will, Darlene had asked a question about, do we save our own seeds? Do we buy seeds? Yes, we buy some seeds, we save seeds, but I'm hoping to make that into a more detailed, comprehensive talk about what we do with seed saving and what are the goals and objectives when we're selecting the variety that we're going to save, why we're saving it, how we're saving it, and how we're storing it. All of those things are very, very important, and especially this day and age with the amount of glyphosate that's in so many different plants, even organically grown plants. It's a shame. But anyways, pretty happy with how well things are growing out there. I gotta say, the weed mats really, since I'm not up to having cover crops yet, that will be the future. But the weed mats are saving our butts as far as the amount of weeding that we have to do here. Thea working all the time as she does, and me trying to catch up on the other projects, and not doing the major building projects this year, but really trying to catch up on so many other projects. And there'll be some videos coming on some of those other projects that I've been working on. That's it for this video, I guess. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. There'll be links, probably tabs that I put to every week or a week and a half. I try to post a video on garden updates so you can see when we first pull the tarps off in the spring after the winter, getting the beds prepped, getting the transplants in the ground, reorienting our beds. If we do tilling, we do tilling. I don't like tilling, but all of those things, everything that's gotten us up to this point, so please refer back to those videos. If you're so inclined and you want to support our channel, one of the ways of doing it is using that Amazon affiliate link when you go to Amazon and shop. Lots of people this day and age are shopping on Amazon. All you got to do is click on the affiliate link down below, do your regular shopping, and I think within so many hours after you putting things in your cart after clicking on that link, it gives us a couple of pennies for each thing that you purchase. It doesn't cost you anything extra. It's just one of the ways that we get supported from Amazon and from your choosing to shop on Amazon as well. So if you found this video of value, please give us a thumbs up, share it with your friends, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and thanks so much for watching, folks. I really appreciate it. More videos to come. I've got lots of ideas and answers to questions that I've had recently. I'm just a bit behind, but I will catch up someday. Take care, folks. Stay safe. Bye-bye now.